Welcome back to another episode of the F1 2021 My Team series. It's Lozzer Racing, of course, and it is the Austrian Grand Prix this time round. I've never got this far in an F1 series, well, at least as far as Austria. I've got as far as 6 episodes, but never as far as Austria, so it's the first time I'm actually showing you guys the Austrian Grand Prix on my channel. Before we get there, though, we have some perks to buy. Development feedback, we are going to purchase that perk, that driver perk, which means that R&D points boost of 10%. So we'll get 10% more R&D points from everything we do, and that's all fine and dandy. Anyway, the Austrian Grand Prix, it's one of my favourite tracks on this game to drive. Probably because it doesn't have many turns. But in all seriousness, yeah, the fact that it's got 3 long DRS straights and just then the small, it's a technical section but not really technical. I just like it. I like the simplicity of the Austrian track. So without further ado, we've got nothing else to talk about, I guess. Let's just go straight on to qualifying, shall we? Let's do it. But actually, before we head into qualifying, there's one pretty big detail that I'm going to go through. Now, if you guys don't know, you might know, you might not. I haven't really shown it much on here, but the engine components wear out so quickly when doing quick practice. Like, they wear out too quickly. Like, this is race 6, and I'm already on the 3rd column for some of the engine components. Pretty much the entirety of column 1 is worn. And now, I was going to wait until I did a bad qualifying before taking grid penalties, but then I noticed the wear of my gearbox was at 72%. It's got 1 race left before I can change it without a penalty, but I thought there's no point in taking the risk. I'm going to change it now, which in turn gives me a 5-place grid penalty, which at that point I thought I might as well just take every penalty possible and get an entire new column of engine components. So we will be starting at the back of the grid for this race. We are still going to go into qualifying and do a couple of laps around the track to see what it's like, but as you can see, qualifying's in the wet. The race is also in the wet. However, in the race, it's going to start wet and go dry. Qualifying is pretty much fully wet, especially in Q1. So, yeah, so these laps you're going to see now are pretty much just to get a feel for the circuit, because I've not driven the circuit yet in this game. Now, I went into this qualifying session with a different sort of mentality. Obviously, you know, I want to get a feel for the track. I want to drive as fast as I can, but at the same time, I don't really want to get out of Q1 because there's absolutely no point in me doing that. We're starting last no matter what happens. So I'm trying to drive as fast as I can around the track without driving too fast to get out of Q1, because we have got out of Q1 in a couple of recent races as we actually spin at the end of the lap there, which is quite funny actually. But we don't want to get out of Q1 really. We're on full wets as well, so I can't really drive that fast, but at the same time, you know, the wet weather is an equaliser of sorts. Not quite an equaliser, but more like a sort of it closes the pack up even more. It makes it slightly more even. And so we go for 2 laps in a row, which, on the wet tyres, it means you're going to go faster, probably, around the 2nd lap, because it means, the tyre, you've had a lap of warm-up, you've had a lap around the track, and now the tyres are in the good window for you to go even quicker. So we go for 2 laps in a row. We're about 2/10 up on our previous lap. We're in P9 at the moment, but not everyone's gone for a lap. I don't know if some cars are just waiting for the conditions to change to inters, maybe, because they might go to inters, you never know. But at the end of our 2nd lap, we've only gained 700ths after that, but we've actually gone above Lance Stroll with that time, which is quite impressive because that Aston Martin is quick. And we're just slowing down here. And as you can see, Giovinazzi crashes into me, and it gives me another 5-place grid penalty on top of all the penalties I've already taken. And actually, in the end, it did go to Inter's conditions, so everyone else went out on Inter's and I didn't. We've got a 70-place grid penalty. We're still going to be starting behind Giovinazzi, despite him not posting the time. So, let's go to the race and see what we can do from the back.
Welcome to the beautiful Styrian Mountains for another chapter in the story of the Austrian Grand Prix. It's a short lap here in Spielberg with just 10 corners, 7 rights and 3 lefts, making up the total distance of 2.6 miles. And expect to see a lot of cars running wide today, especially through the last corner, as the wet conditions make the cars skittish through the downhill sections. and I'm joined once again by Anthony Davidson to bring you the lowdown for today's race. Now, I want to talk to you about Valtteri Bottas. That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
There are never any guarantees in this business, but certainly the performance last time out would have boosted their confidence coming into this one.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Perez, Charles Leclerc and Norris, Ricciardo, Sainz, Vettel and Pierre Gasly, Stroll, Tsunoda, Fernando Alonso and Ocon, Raikkonen, Mick Schumacher, George Russell and Robert Schwartzman, Mazepin, Giovinazzi, Latifi, they've taken a grid penalty, and Lawrence. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
So we head into this race with absolutely no idea on strategy, as it's just recommending inters for the entire race, but of course we already know it's going to go dry around about halfway through the race as we go to the 5 red lights, and when they are out we will be racing around the Red Bull ring. Lights out and we're underway, and we get off to a pretty terrible start, but we can afford to do that because we're at the back of the pack. And actually in Austria, turn 1 is not a place where you really want to be dive bombing, as I got my braking a bit wrong there. I didn't even want to do that. I didn't want to go down the inside of anyone there, and I nearly dive bombed Latifi and Schwartzman. It's turn 3 where you want to make the big dive bomb, and are we going to send it down the inside at turn 3? Yes, we are. We nearly hit the back of Latifi. We go past him, Schwartzman and Giovinazzi, and also Mazepin. I didn't really want to go as far as trying to get past Mazepin. Again, that was me getting my braking slightly wrong, but we've actually made the move stick, and we're up into P18, but Mazepin is coming back for more here. He's going to go down the inside of turn 4 here. We've got Giovinazzi behind us as well. We're going to try and hang it around the outside of the Haas, but he's going to get the move done and get back ahead of us into P18, and now we're under pressure from Antonio Giovinazzi, the man who crashed into us in qualifying, which cost him any chance at all of getting into Q2. Wasn't really my fault, although I'll admit I was slightly on the racing line, but he could have just avoided me like. But yeah, we're up to P19, even though we got re-overtaken by Mazepin. I'm pretty happy with that start because I have actually put a dry setup on. I didn't know. The funny thing is that before this race, I didn't have a weather forecast at all. Normally you get like an email from Jeff or something saying what the weather forecast's going to be. I didn't get anything like that. I just saw that the race was going to be wet and nothing more than that. So I risked it with a dry setup, and the risk might pay off later on, because obviously right now we're going to be quite slow with a dry setup. But when it actually gets dry, we might actually pick up the pace a bit. As Giovinazzi tries to go around the outside at turn 3, but I'm pretty much going to use the Nico Rosberg excuse here and say that it was my corner, I was ahead, I was on the inside, I can turn in when I want, and it's actually allowed Schwartzman to get past the Alfa Romeo as well. And now is he going to try and have a go at me here, my own teammate? He's looking down the inside of turn 4, he is alongside, but we're going to stay ahead of him. We've just got the traction to stay ahead of our teammate. As we head on to lap 4 now, and we're starting to pick up the pace a bit. We've managed to catch back up to Mazepin, and we can maybe have a go down the inside at turn 3 again on the Haas. We're going to do exactly what we did to him before and just run him out of roads. And we get back past him into P18 again. He's probably not going to be very happy with that move. But at the same time, I had understeer as well, but that's not my excuse. I did sort of intentionally, slightly maybe run him out of room a bit there. We needed to get the move done. We were stuck behind him. We needed to get that done to sort of, well, get further up in the race, I guess, because he was compromising us. But on lap 5, we asked for a weather report from Jeff, and this is the answer we get.
This rain should be stopping anytime soon. Be ready for the grip to come back, but don't overheat the tyres. Inters look like the best tyre for now.
So it's not going to be long before the rain stops, and we're actually closing in on George Russell in front of us on lap 5 here. So we got past Mazepin on the last lap, and already we're starting to make inroads on the Williams. As we head on to lap 6 into 7, we've got a yellow flag in front of us, and it's Yuki Tsunoda who's slowing down. So Yuki Tsunoda's got some kind of mechanical fault here. He's dropping down the order. He's going very slow down the pit straight, and he's going to park up and retire. There is us going past him there, and he's just going to park up. But Mazepin's just driven straight into the back of him, pretty much like Giovinazzi did to me in qualifying. Mazepin has just completely not seen him and just driven the racing line, and that's now allowing Robert Schwartzman to have a go at Mazepin. He's lost a front wing end plate as the Haas driver, and Schwartzman makes a brilliant move around the outside to claim P18. What a terrible error from Mazepin. That's completely ruined his race, that's for sure. So we've now made it to lap 10, and we are very, very close to George Russell now. We've been closing up to him for this whole time, and now we're going to try and maybe make a move on him. We've got actually good traction out of turn 3 for once. Russell's got better traction, but the thing is we have the ERS, we have the slipstream to try and get past him here. Can we make a move into turn 4? Yes, we can. We're down the inside of George Russell at turn 4 and up into 16th place. What a brilliant move that was from us. We're up into 16th place. We've already made up 6 places from where we started on the grid. And now just one lap later, we get the call. We get the call from Jeff. Check your MFD for a new strategy option. We have our new strategy option. It is to box onto a set of mediums. We are going to the dries. It may not look like it's going to be dry weather in a second, but trust me on this game, the graphics especially, they go from wet to dry in an absolute instant. So we are going to box on lap 11 for a set of medium tyres, which is always nice. We're now going to be on the dries. DRS has been enabled as well. That's when you know it is time for dry weather running. And the fact that we were coming around the last couple of corners when he gave us that decision to make, that's going to put us at a slight advantage. Although in fairness, a lot of cars that are in front of us have already boxed. Only one Mercedes, one Red Bull and one Ferrari have not come into the pits for a set of dry tyres. We come in for our pit stop. We're going on to a set of mediums. Not the quickest stop in the world, 3 seconds in fact. But luckily we don't lose any places, and we actually closed up on the likes of Schumacher and Ocon as well. So we actually, oh no, we haven't lost a place. It's because people haven't pit yet. We could potentially gain from this because of how slow those front 3 will be going. We could potentially gain from this. Let's check in on some other action, shall we? This is Lando Norris defending from Max Verstappen. This is lap 17. So we've skipped forward a few laps already. The 2 Mercedes are well far ahead there. Norris in 3rd, but Verstappen is closing on him at a rate of knots, and he's going to do a big dive into turn 3 down the inside. He's not quite got the move done yet, but Verstappen is going to be the one with DRS, and he is going to be able to get ahead of the McLaren with the speed. But the Mercedes engine in the back of that McLaren is allowing Norris to keep in this fight here. But Verstappen is going to get the move done down the inside at turn 4. He's going to run Norris out of room, and he is going to get up onto the podium places along with the 2 Mercedes. But back to us now a couple of laps later, heading on to lap 20, and we have closed up to the house of Mick Schumacher. We've got DRS behind him. He's also got DRS behind the 2 ahead of Kimi Raikkonen and Esteban Ocon, who are both fighting for P13. We get very close up behind the Haas there, and now we might be able to make a move here. We're gaining on him using the overtake mode. Can we maybe do a dive into turn 3? Schumacher's gone very defensive, but we're going to still go down the inside anyway, no matter what there. He went to cover off the inside, but he didn't cover it off enough, and we are ahead of Mick Schumacher and into P15. We're pulling off some decent overtakes in this race, aren't we? We're up from P22 to P15, and now we're on the dries as well. It means that our setup is now starting to work. Of course, it's not my setup that I'm using. I just grabbed one off time trial off one of the faster drivers. As we're now looking to make a move on Kimi Raikkonen on lap 22, we're going to go around the outside at turn 3 this time. He's not giving us much room. He nearly collides with Ocon there. We're going to do the switchback, but Raikkonen cuts us off there. We've got DRS. Raikkonen has DRS. We're heading down to turn 4. We're both catching up to Ocon. I'm catching up to Raikkonen, ready to go round the outside. We brake early to avoid Ocon, who's locked up. Raikkonen's gone for the audacious move down the inside, and he's made contact with Ocon. We've switched back them both, and we're up into P13. That was a bit of a mistake there from Kimi Raikkonen. That move was not on at all. We managed to avoid it. Ocon, unfortunately, was the innocent victim in that one, as Raikkonen just slammed right into the side of him. And we've just got to take a look at this on a replay, haven't we? We're all coming down the hill here. I've got DRS on Raikkonen. Raikkonen has DRS on Ocon. We go to the outside. We're boxed in there, really. I have to brake early to avoid Ocon. I was going to go down the inside, but Raikkonen went down the inside of me and just hit Ocon. Got his braking a bit wrong there. Went for a move that wasn't on. And in the end, they've both suffered for it. Now onto lap 26, and nothing's really happened since that incident. We've just been trying to keep Schumacher behind us. We're in P11 at the moment, but that's because of people pitting for their second stop, and we're now coming in for our second stop. Now, everyone else who's made a second stop has gone onto medium tyres. I'm actually going to take a little bit of a gamble here and go onto soft tyres. We're going to try and see if we can catch up to the guys ahead. It's probably not going to happen, but we might as well try. As we switch out our mediums for softs, 2.2, that's a pretty decent pit stop if I do say so myself. Schumacher had already pit. He's pit onto mediums as well. We're going to be the only car out here on soft tyres, lasting for around about 10 laps. I don't know how this is going to go, but we might as well try it. And we can also get pretty far ahead of Schumacher as well, because if he's on mediums and in a slower car, we can build a gap to Schumacher and solidify this P13. Now in the last race we had quite a monumental battle for the lead between these two. Now Valtteri Bottas and Max Verstappen are fighting over second place as Verstappen does another dive down the inside into turn 3, just like he did on Lando Norris. But now they come out of the corner side by side. Verstappen's the one with DRS. Is he going to be able to get past the Mercedes and into second place here? Yes, he is. Another brilliant move by Max Verstappen, and he gets past the Mercedes of Valtteri Bottas into second place on lap 30. Brilliant stuff, considering how fast the Mercedes is in this save. The fact that the Red Bull of Max Verstappen has overtaken him there is pretty good. However, Bottas is not giving up here. It's the next lap. He's gone around the outside of Verstappen after catching him with DRS. And once again, they're going to go wheel to wheel down the back straight here. And Bottas is going to get back ahead of the Red Bull and into second place and retains the Mercedes 1-2. But this battle is still going on as we head on to lap 35 of 36, so it's the penultimate lap of the race, and Max Verstappen has managed to charge up his battery and build the momentum to have another go at the Mercedes here into turn 3, and for about the 2 gazillionth time in this video, we're going to see Max Verstappen put a big dive bomb into turn 3 on another car. This time he's come out behind Bottas, but he's got another bout of DRS to try and have a go into turn 4. Can he get the move done and make it stick this time? Bottas is still there. They've made a bit of contact, but Verstappen is the one who manages to get ahead there, and this time he's got quite a distance between him and the Mercedes. And that will end off a pretty decent Austrian Grand Prix for us. We've managed to build a 4-second gap to Mick Schumacher on these soft tyres. Absolutely nothing happened with us in this stint, of soft tyres. But we are going to come home for P13, which is quite remarkable considering where we started in this race. Don't forget, we started right at the back, P22. It was wet conditions as well, so we were a bit slower. But in the end of it, P13, ahead of all the not so good teams as well. I will happily take that. What a brilliant result for us. We fought through there. We've proved that our car actually has some decent pace. We've made 9 positions. We've got driver of the day. Brilliant race.
So Mercedes have won it, and what a great race it was. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Well, I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out on the track was today: speed. I know it sounds like an obvious thing to say, Crofty, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes.
Well, there we go. It's another Ham-Ver-Bot podium in this save so far. Hamilton from Verstappen from Bottas. Let's hope it doesn't continue like that, because I'm going to get sick of seeing that, as I have been doing in real life, I'll be perfectly honest. But we come home in a very, very respectable P13 after starting last on the grid. We couldn't quite catch up to the guys in front, but we put in some decent laps. Robert Schwartzman finished in P19. Not great, let's be honest. He lost a place despite Yuki Tsunoda DNFing and Nikita Mazepin losing his front wing. But it doesn't matter anyway. We're fine. We got through it. We have the pace. Our car has the pace. Schwartzman just needs to show his pace a bit more now. As we go to the standings, we're still in P12. We've got 7 points. Lewis Hamilton leads by 14 points from Valtteri Bottas, and Max Verstappen is a further 32 points behind the Finn. In the Constructors, absolutely no movement from anyone. Mercedes have, I think, extended their lead over Red Bull. We remain in 8th. With just the 7 points. Of course, they are our 7 points, and Alfa Romeo, Haas and Williams all have none. So that is the end of that race. And after the race, the team has actually hit a claim level 10, which means that we can add a secondary sponsor, that was a mouthful, to our car. We've also gained the cash from Salve from beating my rival in a race. Of course, my rival is Antonio Giovinazzi, and we pretty much ended his chance of beating us in the race by him crashing into us in qualifying. Wasn't tactical for that, but there you go. But yeah, we can now add a second sponsor to the car, which is very exciting indeed. And we actually sign with Zanetto, who have the goal of answering at least 2 interview questions during a race weekend, which we've been doing pretty much every weekend. I haven't been showing you guys that because I don't really see the need in showing it to you, but we have been answering interview questions every single weekend, so we should get a payout from them every single weekend. In before like Claire falls ill or something and doesn't show up in Silverstone, but nah. Yeah, we're gonna put Zanetto on our car. We're gonna plaster the sponsor all around the car. And now we're going to get into some R&D upgrades because we didn't actually make any in the last episode. We're going to start off with streamlined suspension arms for the aero side. We had over 2,000 points to spend. I saved them up from the last episode. And it keeps on recommending us to make a chassis upgrade. I've made quite a few of those. I need other things to catch up. Although I don't know if the chassis is actually the most upgraded or not. But I'm just having a look through the upgrades here to see what to upgrade. And I think I actually end up deciding on the ICE improved materials upgrade, because that's the one thing you don't want getting worn, really, the ICE, because once that gets worn, that affects everything else, and it also affects how much power you get in the car. So that is the second upgrade we go for. And one final thing, we have a marketing department event. I need to speak with you about a recent message from IT and security. It appears we are under threat from hackers and malicious software, and whilst our systems are all up to date, they suggest we put some time into additional training to ensure all our teams know how to reduce the risks of unauthorized access to our data. It's your call. If we give the team training, it will cost us 20k in cash, but give us 500 R&D points, and if we decline, we lose 500 R&D points. So my thought was, give me their R&D points. Yes, please. We don't actually use them to upgrade anything, I don't think. Or do we? Yes, we do. We actually get the engine cover upgrade because we can now afford it. I was mulling over it before, but we couldn't afford it. Now we can. So it allows us to get one more upgrade. The spark plugs fail, however, but we will get them redone, repurchased, and they will be ready for after the British Grand Prix, which is what the next episode will be. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you like what you see and you want to see more. And if you don't want to miss a video, hit that little bell next to the subscribe button. You will get a notification whenever I upload. Until next time, thanks so much for watching. Peace.